The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties.
Welcome, everybody, to This is Sparta. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with my co-host, Otis Wiley and Jehuu Jehuu Caulcrick. And everybody, you know what? This is something that we just had to do. Breaking news. This is the Hypocrisy edition of This is Sparta because we just felt that it was something so egregious that we could not wait till next week to bring you the news and what we know and the updates that we have thus far. Obviously, we all know what happened at the Michigan game and the tunnel incident. And, you know, we had to literally drag Otis Wiley on this call because he didn't want to do it. He wants to turn the page and move on. But it's hard to move on when hypocrisies happen. And hypocrisy has definitely occurred in Ann Arbor, as we found out yesterday that Mazi Smith had been charged with felony weapons charge. And this happened, you know, we're going through a timeline of this. This is an incident that happened on October 7th in the morning. Now, if you look at that date, Michigan played at Indiana on October 8th. So he was arrested in the morning on a Friday morning, going like Thursday night, going to Friday morning, and was able to come out of jail and get on the team plane, go down to Indiana, and no one heard a peep. Guys, what say you about the news that has come out so far?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, I think you hit it on the head about the hypocrisy there. If that was something that happened to a player in East Lansing, if it was a Michigan State player, that would have been front page and center. It would have been on ESPN. Some other stories would have been tied into it. It would have been based on the culture in East Lansing. These guys, you know, so I think it's absolutely ridiculous that this kid was arrested and had the opportunity to play, you know, to fly with the team that same day and play without anything being said. But when we talked about the tunnel incident, you know, you have Ward Manuel, the AD at Michigan, and Jim Harbaugh sitting there talking about how outrageous this is and how, you know, these guys have to be charged to the furthest extent of the law. An apology won't do it. You know, they have to be suspended now and everything. You know, I get it. People would say, you know, it's innocent until proven guilty. Michigan State players were not, you know, provided that same goodwill of innocent until proven guilty, even though, but, you know, I get there was video, but just like this, you want the due process to play out, but you can't be sitting there in a press conference, living in a glass house and throwing stones at the same time, because, you know, what you do in the dark will come out in the light.
100%.
Otis. I had a thought and I had a comment, but Jehuu just did it so elegantly. Like, just he verbalized what I was obviously trying to put together in my own head of like the gall, the audacity to put our guys up on the chopping block immediately. And this goes from internally all the way to their entire fan base. And I'm not saying entire fan base because I have friends who are fans there and, you know, have talked to me about this, and we've had conversations about the tunnel. But when your own house is not clean, but then you go to somebody else's house and you condemn them because they're messy or they're not organized. This is just the absolutely positively disgrace on the situation of keeping the same energy that you had for us internally for them. And this also has to be discussed about, the conference and the amount of energy that they put forth to condemn us on how we manage this. And, we were all working cohesively with them to discuss, the parameters, even without the investigation. But then this is happening, and meaning that these guys are winning at all costs. And Jim Harbaugh and the athletic director are collectively saying, "Hey, we know the character of this guy and our student athlete. He is he's a kind human being." It just makes absolutely no sense. And I love that we're addressing it right now, because no one's fully coming out there discussing this publicly. And this is what we're about, is discussing this right head on.
Yeah, absolutely, Otis. And, sticking to that theme there, and you talked about, you have a messy house and going to someone else's house. And it's for the same things, for those people that when we came here and we talked about, the tunnel incident, we said, that should not have happened, but this, that, and other. And people were firing at us, sending us messages, sending messages to the football department. Coach Tucker's, place have to be under, police security, all those things, putting families in jeopardy because of what these fans are saying. They're saying it's a cultural problem at East Lansing. The head coach does not have the program in order. These guys are a bunch of thugs attacking their families, attacking kids who were not even in Michigan State yet, but committed to Michigan State, attacking their families. And then this is happening, and everyone wants to keep quiet. Everyone wants to keep quiet from the top down, from Ward Manuel, Jim Harbaugh, the entire Michigan football program, the deep, deep fan base that, spew that hate. Shame on you.
Without question. Oh, hey, listen, but guys, you don't understand. Like, I understand the emotions that are coming from both of you guys, and you guys are holding it together pretty good, because I know this really ticks you off to the core. I mean, when you look at the timeline of events, we talked about Mazi Smith. I don't really know Mazi Smith. This is nothing against Mazi Smith. This is totally for the machine that is Michigan, the blue wall that everybody talks about. They act like it doesn't exist.
It's
but
real.
I'm going to tell you something. It absolutely exists. And this is a prime example of it. Going back to a couple of days before the Michigan State game, guy by the name of Donovan Edwards. I don't know if you guys know who that is. I mean, he absolutely crushed it against Ohio State just this past week. Great kid. Love him. Know his family. Been knowing him since he was a yay high kid. Okay. Talked to his father yesterday for over an hour. Great family. Nothing against him. But he has a slip of the finger or whatever it was with Twitter and retweeted some Kanye West anti-Semitism things that we've seen guys like Kyrie Irving get destroyed for. Absolutely destroyed. And so did Kanye himself, rightfully so. And there wasn't even a sense, there wasn't even a half, not a quarter, no, not a thought that he would miss any time playing the game of football. Okay, so if that's the way we're going to do it, then I just say keep that same energy with everything else. Isn't that what we do when we sign up to be coaches, when we sign up to be in public institutions like the University of Michigan, like Ward Emanuel, like a guy like him, a former athlete, a guy like Jim Harbaugh, who played the game. He protects his players, but you want to bury another? I don't think that's at all right. You can't. This stuff will define that program. These things are coming out, and they're going to try to say, well, this was on video, and that wasn't. The facts are the facts, guys. And this is something that you just cannot change. You cannot turn a blind eye to gun possession and, anti-Semitism and all those things. And then because the team, because the guys are wearing a different color than you, then we bury them. Let's go to the news today. The kids, a couple of players from Michigan State were arraigned today. And during the arraignment, the judge basically says that they're not allowed to have any contact with the University of Michigan. No players, no coaches, or they can't go to Ann Arbor. And, one of the attorneys, Wade Fink, did bring up the fact that he objected to it and was allowed to talk on the record. And he basically pointed to the fact that I don't recall other coaches, being able to being censored from going to Wisconsin. He brought up again the basketball coach from Michigan in the fight that happened last year, that they can't ban him from going to an entire university from what happened in an emotionally charged environment, right? And that's what they chose to do with Michigan State players as it stands right now. There was also a push to get all the players that have been charged at Michigan State drug tested, not allowed to leave the state, things like that. But the timing of this, when the charges were dropped, was conveniently after Harbaugh had his press conference. Now you will not speak to Jim Harbaugh until after the Big Ten championship game, guys. How do you think about that? How do you feel about that? Like, there's no consequence right now. They're down in Indianapolis preparing for the Big Ten championship game with no consequence whatsoever.
Oh my gosh, man. It's frustrating. You try to get this you try to have the same level of justice, right? We want fair shot, fair chance, and how things get handled. You mentioned it, Stray, about just it all stemmed from them. It all stemmed from them down the road of understanding that if they just took responsibility, and then obviously figured out a way to protect everyone involved. I feel like the rivalry played so much bad blood into this rivalry, played so much into this, gang war against us on the criminal justice piece of it. It's nonsense, man. Like I'm speechless when it comes to it, because it is truly, we're talking tampering. We're talking like, hey, we'll bail you out and you play. You hop on this plane right away. Go play Indiana. Oh, you know what? You're good, man. Just take that tweet down and you play against us in our rivalry with the Battle of Paul Bunyan. Like, truly, what does that message send to people that are watching this and following, and more so with their recruits and families coming in, like, no matter what happens, we're gonna take care of you from all facets of your life. You get in trouble. No, let's focus on a mile across the street with Imani Bates. Same jurisdiction, same situation. We want to just knock this dude off the planet and put him out of his dream of playing basketball, and without even truly doing, like, if he was a Michigan Wolverine, none of this would have happened. That's extremely the story and conclusion on the same situation that happened with him.
Yeah, Imani Bates was suspended one day after his arrest. Suspended. No questions asked. I've seen people in the media absolutely killing the guy, saying that, he's a thug, he's this, he's that, he's everything wrong with basketball. And turns out it wasn't he was borrowing someone else's car. And I know the Michigan fan base is going to say, oh, but this situation was different. He didn't have serial numbers, and this kid had applied for his license. I mean, save it. Like that right there. Like, it's not about the difference in cases. It's about the difference in energy that you put out there. That is what the issue is. And then let's talk about the Washtenaw County prosecutor, Eli Savit. We're talking about a University of Michigan grad, law school. Now, this is a guy who went to Ann Arbor Pioneer. He was an 8th grade teacher, started his career as an 8th grade teacher. I would think that this guy has a heart. It's special education teacher. Like, this is a guy in the public school system coming out of, looks like Kalamazoo College. This is a guy that you would think is going to have a heart for what's right and what's good, that he wouldn't look at colors. That's what I'm saying, like blue versus green. Like that right there, that's a prejudice. For what? Why is it different? He knew that this kid was arrested and charged when he came with the charges on the 7 out of 8 players from Michigan State. All those players missed, 7 out of 8 players missed 4 games. Mazi has missed 0. One of the Michigan State players will be out for 12 games in total as he continues to go through his legal process. There is no real legal process. There is no punishment. There's no consequence for the others. This Eli Savic goes on to law school at the University of Michigan. He currently is a lecturer for the law school at the University of Michigan. And I know that there's been reporters that have reached out to the University of Michigan regents for comment. There's been no comment. No one knows when they knew anything about this. But guys, I find it very coincidental that as soon as the charges were dropped, statements were already teed up and ready to hand out to the media from both Ward Manuel and Jim Harbaugh. How about that? Written statements were already cooked up, ready to go as they got on the plane to go to Indy.
Yeah, Jason, that's a good point. It's the whole thing with that. It's just like you talked about at the beginning. It's just hypocrisy. That's all it is. And you can't have this. Michigan State players, once that happened, it was automatically guilty until proven innocent. And now with this, everyone's trying to be like, innocent or proven guilty. Let the due process play out. Those same people are saying that. And you talked about it, Otis, about keeping that same energy. And you can't sit here and tell me that prosecutor is sitting there and he can look himself in the mirror and say, I'm doing everything by the book. I'm doing everything fair. Because at the end of the day, I'm not stupid. You're not stupid. So don't piss in my boot and tell me it's raining outside. Because it's totally different.
Is that a grandpappy deal?
That is definitely that's a definitely grandpappy.
We had a comment just here like you cannot be a part of something, any investigation. You have to
recuse himself.
Recuse
that's a great point.
It's a great point. Like that's basically water. That's blood in the water. You already have a positive, or I say you got majority on the wrong side already. Like you're already leaning towards a prejudice or something of bias with this this deal, right? So
he gets paid from the institution.
Yeah, man.
He works there. He went there, he works there. And
give us our $100,000 back from the penalty that we got from the network or from the conference. And you need to go ahead and go get that from them too. Because like this is even in that whole situation, we get a public reprimand and then we got to pay $100,000. Like that don't even sound completely, because it should have been all like the incident in the tunnel should have never happened. Why aren't they paying dollars? It's even that is a difference in the issues of our issues with the conference. And so there's no one publicly out here discussing it and being outlandish, because I think people are like, you know what, we've already did what we had to do, and now we're focused on the future. But this stuff is going to keep coming up, and there's going to be future issues with this playing us, for next season. And then we still got to play in basketball. So there's going to be some angst right here, man, of like, how is this going to unfold? How is it going to unfold as we continuously do this? And then I better see some press or some timelines on Saturday, tomorrow, on this Big Ten championship game, talking about these players and the issues that's going on that team down the road. I guarantee you the media is going to try to clean that up too, and prop it up like, this is the Purdue versus Michigan. No, we need to focus on some of this stuff too.
Yeah, national media isn't even really talking about it, guys. National media isn't picking it up because, who controls the national media? They're not bringing anything up about this. And as you said, something needs to be done at the Big Ten level, Otis. You said that perfectly. There has to be a comment. Commissioner Warren has to weigh in on this. He's got to weigh in on this because he was there at the Michigan State game. He was there, present, and he saw the post-fight stuff. He was in the tunnel. He was assessing the damages, and he did the best he could and to come out with a decision that he thought levied a level decision from up top. But this right here with this information, to turn a blind eye to it, to not censor them or fine them or what, that would be a huge black eye to the conference. It would be a huge black eye to Michigan State. Because I'm going to tell you what, we've been covering, we're going into recruiting season. We're going into transfer portal season, right? How is this fair? How can you have competitive balance? Obviously we have NIL and all these things going on where this guy can pay for this and that, but we're talking on basis, hey, is the society that the two schools traffic in, that they exist in, or is the government entity for you or against you? Or are they, like Lady Justice, supposed to have a blind eye and the scales of justice is blind? Is that what it's really about? Or if I'm a recruit's mom or father, dad looking at this saying, hey, if I'm a recruit myself, I'm like, whoa, man, like I'm afraid to go to East Lansing right now. Like, think about that, guys. This is much bigger than Mazi Smith. This is bigger than this. This is a overreaching situation that has to be stopped because it will have a ripple effect that will go decades into this society. I'm telling you, for what goes on in East Lansing versus Ann Arbor, if somebody doesn't do something about it.
Yeah, you're right. Something has to be done about it. There has to be a balance. There has to be, the same thing for each school all through the conference, not even just East Lansing and Ann Arbor. It has to be what happens at this school is going to happen at that school and the other school. It can't be, different circumstances for different schools. So, those guys down the road, they feel, like I always say, they invented the game of football. They have that sense of arrogance to them that they can get away with whatever, and it will just be swept under the rug, and it's going to be okay after that. But it's starting to come out, and more people need to be able to speak up on it. And I think I'm just curious. Is this guy going to play tomorrow?
No, there's no question he's going to play. I think he does. I don't see anything.
After all this now, that's coming out. Do you say, hey, you're still playing, or are you going to say you're suspended till things smooth over? Like, what is?
Why he's going to play? You know why he's going to play? Like this is. I like this tweet here from Peach James at the Peach at the Breslin when he asked, "I want you to imagine if Mel Tucker and Alan Haller said anything close to the two statements that came from the athletic director, Ward Manuel, or head football coach, Jim Harbaugh. If you read these, I mean, it's pretty egregious. I don't know.
I have respect for our judicial process. Of course you do. You have confidence.
It's on your side. Because it's on your side. It's tilted to you.
Of course. Of course you do.
Mazi's character, right? Like saying that the 8 players that he tried to burn at the stake from Michigan State didn't have good character. Those guys are great character kids. There's no prior history of violence. Okay, of course he'll play tomorrow. They're hypocrites. 100%. Johnny Costanza says right there. He's going to play. You know why he's going to play, guys? You know why? Not only is he a team captain, not only is he a first team All Big Ten coaches and media. Did you see him perform in Columbus? He was flushing C.J. Stroud out of the pocket. I think he got to him a couple times. And the money that's involved with that game that comes up tomorrow is way too big for them to pass up, brother. I'm going to tell you right now he's playing. They don't have the guts to not play him. They don't have the guts to not play him because he's too good on the field for them, and that's all they really care about. Really.
Yeah, who cares about it too is Commissioner Warren coming out there talking like, hey, Ohio State should be in the college football playoff, even if that loss happened, right? Like that was the immediate response to, getting 2 Big Ten teams in there. Look at
Amy Krause here.
Yeah, Harbaugh got exactly what he wanted to take our program because Tuck was coming. We had our average year, but we mounting up, baby. Warren regulators mounting up, and he's trying to put it down and trying to push our program down. This is one way to do it. It's sad, man. It's sad, man.
It does go back to them not wanting us to join the Big Ten back in the olden days, man. This is real, and it still carries on. It still exists today.
Yeah, and if this is, just this whole thing here, when we said it, when the tunnel incident happened, Harbaugh's up there just fanning the fire, making that flame bigger and bigger. And then this happens, and Coach D said it best. I don't care what anyone says, hey, let's move on from this, let's do that. This rivalry, it's never going to be over. Coach D said it best. It's just getting started. And especially with all these things that's coming up now, the difference, the way that the programs are treated differently, it's not over. It's never going to be over. It's just getting started.
Hey, did you read Harbaugh's response to disciplining his players with planting the flag in the horseshoe? Did you see that? He says, I'm gonna take that flag and frame it and put it in our museum.
Of course.
So and who's in the middle of that flag? G squared. I don't even say G squared.
Of course.
6'9". Oh man.
I wish you was. Oh, good. Look, this is not a good look at all. I read this too.
Mitch Albom had a great article. It was a free press. Mitch is a great writer. Obviously, everyone knows this. But he talked about the hypocrisy here. It's not a good look. Admit that much. Even if you're a Mason Blue maniac, your star football co-captain being arrested on gun possession felony in early October, being allowed to play for Michigan the very next day, not being charged for 7 weeks, and continues to play Saturday after Saturday. And his school says nothing. And after the Ohio State game, now let's talk about it, right before the Big Ten championship game. And they just dismiss everything like, it's no big deal. It's unremarkable. That's crazy in of itself. I mean, they want us to, just there's a lot of things you want to say here that you just have to hold your tongue a little bit, right, guys? I mean, there's things that I know you say off there that you just can't say right now because this does chap areas that we don't want to, unmentionables.
Unmentionables.
100%.
Yeah.
Pray to the big man himself, man, for just please teach me, Lord, in the conviction that I go through daily on this understanding what we have to deal with day to day, weekly, with this types of stuff. I wish, think about what's going through our guys' head who had to go through what they just went through. Just to see someone legitimately skim through the process, continuously playing. Like, we've probably been bowl eligible for some of our guys for playing. Jacoby Windey. Yeah. We would have think about the production that you took away from these kids to put film on paper for their future careers of the next level if they have aspirations for that. It's just a lot of stuff they robbed from these kids that no one's coming out and publicly saying, hey, my apologies, we're sorry, none of that. This is on them for forever. And my heart goes out to them because these guys are looking down the road and it's like, man, we only 45, 50 minutes away, and I need to go live in Ann Arbor so I got the protection for law enforcement behind me for 100%.
Yeah, that's clearly the message that's being sent. These guys missed 4 games of their career. They'll never get that back. And meanwhile, Michigan players miss 0 time. Question
for this, okay? You're NFL scout. So these guys, the Michigan State players, missed 4 games. They couldn't put that body of work on film. All right. They couldn't, show off for the scouts. And you go to the combine, an NFL scout will talk about, hey, what happened in that fight? Everything like that. And all this stuff, I've been through the combine process. I've been through, the questioning from GMs from different angles and everything like that. So what do you think a guy will be? You talking about character, okay? Hey, after a rivalry game, you got in a fight in a tunnel, okay? Or hey, the night before a game, you were arrested with a gun. Character issues, like which one? If you're a GM of a team, would you lean towards saying, okay, this guy has better character than this guy? The guy who got in a fight in a tunnel while being taunted by his opponent after a rivalry game? Or a guy in the early morning of the, day of the morning carrying a gun? I'm just saying.
Well, if the NFL looks at it, they would take the fighter over the gun charge because gun charge you can't do anything about.
Exactly. So that's all I'm saying to all these people that are out there saying Michigan State players are thugs, it's a bad culture and everything like that. These guys got in a fight after a rivalry game. This other guy's carrying a gun.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen players in the NFL, we talked about it ad nauseum.
Bro, what are you carrying a gun for in Ann Arbor, bro? Like, why are you carrying a gun around, driving around Ann Arbor? It's your city. It's your city. Are you what are you scared of?
Yeah, he's only 6'3", 337.
Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
He's one of the most feared.
Ann Arbor, don't get me wrong. The only time I've been to Ann Arbor is to play there or when we did broadcasting for games. But I thought Ann Arbor was peace, love, tranquility, eating grass and yogurts and stuff like that.
Eating grass and what kind of grass you talking about?
I don't know. Whatever kind of grass they grow in Ann Arbor. That's what I thought. John Lennon, imagine all the people,
But speaking of eating, let's take time out for a message from our partners at IHOP.
'Twas a wintry day, and at IHOP quite soon, hot cinnamon apples would be coaxed with a spoon on the fluffiest French toast with red currants on top. We wish you a happy holiday, only at IHOP. New Ginger Snap Apple French Toast, part of our new holiday menu. Try all 3 flavors.
Guys, I think that'll be enough for our breaking news special today. With what happened in Ann Arbor, this was a lot. We're going to see what happens tomorrow. We're going to see if the Big Ten or Michigan themselves have the guts to actually sit Mazi Smith. We doubt that's going to happen. We know it's not going to happen, but we will definitely be back with you guys on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock to discuss what happened over the weekend, discuss a little bit of Michigan State basketball and other things, MSU. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. Click on the link in the bio anywhere, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, even TikTok. Go to that link tree and you can find us where we can get tickets in hand. I know it's hot now for the basketball season. Everybody wants to be inside and stay out of that cold weather and get in that Breslin. Follow us and we'll get those tickets to you. All right, guys, it'll put a bow on everything for the day. Thanks for joining us for this live special breaking news episode. We just had to get on and bring you the news and things that we know from our side of things. Guys, thank you for joining. Otis, I know it's tough for you. You don't like talking about this stuff and rehashing it, but hey,
I never said that. I just feel like it just keeps getting brought up.
I feel that way. I don't like talking about it. I don't like rehashing. I don't like talking about those guys down the road.
Hey, but we have to. Got to do it. And appreciate you. Thanks to you, Choo Choo, as well. Everybody in our production, the behind the scenes, Pete Menez, Tony Costello, Alicia Strayhorn, everyone that's involved. Hey, for everybody, guys, we'll see you guys on Tuesday. Have a good night. God bless and go green.
Go white.